Richard Gere, an iconic Hollywood actor known for his roles in movies such as Pretty Woman and An Officer and a Gentleman, is also celebrated for his enduring commitment to humanitarian causes, particularly his advocacy for Tibet. Can you believe it? As a practicing Buddhist, Gere has consistently used his platform to raise awareness about human rights abuses in Tibet and has developed a deep connection with the Tibetan community and its spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama. His journey into Buddhism, his dedication to the Tibetan cause, and his relentless work in the field of human rights reflect a man whose passions extend far beyond the silver screen. Isn't that truly inspiring? Inspired by Richard Gere's story? Subscribe to our channel for more content on courage and advocacy. 1. Richard Gere's path to Buddhism. Richard Gere's journey into Buddhism began in the 1970s, during a period when he was searching for deeper meaning in life. The world of Hollywood brought him fame and fortune, but he found himself increasingly drawn to the teachings of Eastern philosophy, which offered a different perspective on life, suffering, and the human condition. Can you imagine being at the height of fame and still feeling like something's missing? It is a testament to Gere's introspective nature that he chose to look beyond the glamour and glitz of Hollywood in search of something more profound. His first introduction to Buddhism came from reading books on the subject, which quickly sparked a deep curiosity. He was captivated by the teachings of prominent Buddhist thinkers, including the works of Thich Nhat Hanh and Shunryu Suzuki, as well as the core texts of Tibetan Buddhism. These writings opened a new door for Gere, one that led to introspection, self-discovery, and ultimately a journey of spiritual awakening. Gere felt a resonance with the principles of compassion, mindfulness, and inner peace that Buddhism espouses. He often talks about how, for the first time, he felt as if he was finally learning the true essence of life, what it means to be human, to suffer, and to be at peace with oneself. In 1982, Gere had the opportunity to meet His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, an encounter that profoundly changed his life. How incredible must that have been? This meeting marked the beginning of a lifelong relationship with Tibetan Buddhism and the Dalai Lama himself. Gere became a devoted student, frequently visiting Dharamshala, India, the home of the Tibetan government in exile. The initial meeting with the Dalai Lama was a pivotal moment for Gere, and he has often described it as an experience filled with a sense of overwhelming calm and deep inspiration. The Dalai Lama's teachings of kindness, compassion, and universal responsibility spoke directly to Gere's heart. Gere didn't just want to understand Buddhism on an intellectual level, he wanted to live it. He spent extensive periods in India, learning under the guidance of not only the Dalai Lama but also other esteemed Tibetan lamas. He immersed himself in Buddhist practices like meditation, mindfulness, and the pursuit of compassion, adopting these teachings as a way of life. How many of us would have the courage to leave behind the comforts of luxury and immerse ourselves in such a humble journey? Gere did this not for acclaim but out of a genuine desire to find peace and to contribute positively to the world. The teachings of the Dalai Lama had a transformative impact on Gere's worldview. He has often stated that the Buddhist path helped him manage the pressures and complexities of his career, bringing him a sense of balance and tranquility that was missing in the chaotic world of fame. Isn't it fascinating how he found inner peace amidst all the chaos? For Gere, fame was not the ultimate fulfillment, it was an opportunity, a tool he could use for a greater good. His dedication went beyond intellectual curiosity, it became a way of life, influencing his decisions, relationships, and the kind of roles he chose in Hollywood. In interviews, Gere has shared that meditation became his anchor, a practice that allowed him to stay grounded even during the most turbulent times. Imagine the pressures of Hollywood, the demands, the scrutiny, the expectations. Meditation allowed Gere to navigate these waters without losing himself. He became known for his calm demeanor, a characteristic that not only helped him personally but also influenced his professional interactions. He often brought the practice of mindfulness to film sets, encouraging colleagues to take moments to breathe and reflect, fostering a more supportive and less stressful environment. Isn't it remarkable how one person's journey can have such a ripple effect, too? A close bond with the Dalai Lama. Richard Gere's bond with the Dalai Lama is both personal and profound. More than a follower, Gere is a close friend of the Dalai Lama, sharing a relationship built on mutual respect, understanding, and a shared commitment to compassion and peace. Isn't that the kind of friendship we all aspire to have? Their relationship is a beautiful example of how two individuals from entirely different worlds, one a Hollywood superstar, and the other, a spiritual leader in exile, can find common ground in shared values of love, compassion, and non-violence. The Dalai Lama's charisma, humility, and unwavering commitment to non-violence inspired Gere to take up the Tibetan cause with fervor. For Gere, the Dalai Lama is not just a religious leader but also a symbol of resilience against oppression and a beacon of hope for millions of people around the world. The Dalai Lama's unyielding belief in the power of compassion, even in the face of adversity, was something that deeply moved Gere. How many of us can remain compassionate towards those who wrong us? The Dalai Lama's teachings on forgiveness and empathy were values that Gere sought to embody in every aspect of his life. Over the years, Gere has accompanied the Dalai Lama at various public events and has often spoken about the immense personal value of his teachings. He describes the Dalai Lama as a constant source of inspiration, someone who embodies the ideal of universal compassion, a quality that Gere strives to emulate. Isn't it heartwarming to see such admiration and respect between a spiritual leader and a Hollywood actor? The actor's public support of the Dalai Lama has not been without consequences, especially considering China's influence on Hollywood, but Gere has remained steadfast in his beliefs. Isn't it admirable how he chose integrity over convenience? He has chosen the path of integrity, aligning his actions with his spiritual values, even if it meant compromising professional opportunities. One particularly moving moment that demonstrates their bond occurred during one of the Dalai Lama's visits to the United States. Gere introduced the Dalai Lama at an event, speaking emotionally about the impact the Tibetan leader had on his life. His voice cracked as he described how the Dalai Lama's teachings had given him purpose and direction. Can you imagine how powerful that moment must have been? To openly express such vulnerability in front of thousands of people takes immense courage. It was clear that for Gere, the Dalai Lama was not just an idol or a figurehead, he was a guiding light. Their friendship is also a reminder of the importance of humility. Despite his fame, Gere has never presented himself as superior or above others. In the presence of the Dalai Lama, he is a student, eager to learn, grow, and share the teachings of compassion with others. Gere often says that his time with the Dalai Lama reminds him of the importance of perspective. No matter the challenges we face, there is always an opportunity to respond with kindness and grace. Isn't that a lesson we could all benefit from? 3. Advocacy for Tibetan independence and human rights. Richard Gere is not just a Buddhist practitioner, he is also a tireless advocate for human rights, particularly in Tibet. After the Chinese invasion of Tibet in 1950, the region has faced significant cultural and religious oppression, with ongoing human rights abuses targeting Tibetan monks, nuns, and civilians. Gere became involved in this struggle early on, recognizing the importance of protecting Tibetan culture and ensuring the freedom of its people. He has used his celebrity status as a powerful platform to amplify the Tibetan struggle on the world stage. Can you imagine using your fame for such a noble cause? In 1987, Richard Gere testified before the U.S. Congress, urging lawmakers to address China's abuses in Tibet. He spoke passionately about the need for international intervention, describing the cultural genocide that the Tibetan people were enduring. Gere's testimony highlighted the systematic destruction of monasteries, suppression of religious practices, and the imprisonment of those who dared to oppose the Chinese regime. His advocacy was a crucial step in mobilizing international support for Tibet, making the plight of the Tibetan people more visible to the global community. Isn't it powerful to see how one voice can make such a difference? Gere's dedication to Tibet goes beyond public speeches and testimonies. He has consistently worked behind the scenes, meeting with politicians, human rights activists, and leaders from around the world to discuss the situation in Tibet. He has visited Tibetan refugee camps in India and Nepal, spending time with those who have been displaced from their homeland. Imagine being in a foreign country, far from home, struggling to maintain your identity. Gere's empathy for the Tibetan people is palpable. He doesn't just talk about the cause, he connects with the individuals behind the struggle. He listens to their stories, shares their pain, and works tirelessly to ensure their voices are heard. In addition to his congressional testimony, Gere has worked through organizations like the International Campaign for Tibet, ICT, where he has served as chairman. ICT is dedicated to advocating for the rights and freedoms of the Tibetan people, promoting dialogue between Tibet and China, and providing humanitarian assistance to Tibetans living in exile. Gere has been instrumental in raising funds, organizing events, and lobbying for political support from Western governments to apply pressure on China to respect human rights and engage in meaningful negotiations with Tibetan leaders. How inspiring is it to see someone so dedicated to a cause larger than themselves? One of the most impactful campaigns Gere supported was the Missing Panchen Lama initiative. The Panchen Lama, the second most important figure in Tibetan Buddhism, was kidnapped by Chinese authorities when he was just 6 years old, and his whereabouts have been unknown ever since. Gere took to international platforms to bring attention to this case, demanding answers from the Chinese government and advocating for the child's release. Can you imagine the courage it takes to stand up to such a powerful nation? Gere's relentless advocacy for the Panchen Lama is a testament to his commitment to justice and his belief in the power of truth. His work with ICT has not only raised awareness but also provided tangible support to the Tibetan community through fundraising and organizing charity events. Gere has helped fund educational initiatives for Tibetan children living in exile, ensuring that they have access to quality education despite their circumstances. He understands that preserving Tibetan culture begins with the younger generation. By giving them opportunities for education, he is helping to ensure that the rich heritage of Tibet is not lost. Isn't it incredible to see someone using their influence to create real, lasting change? 4. Hollywood and the price of advocacy. Richard Gere's outspokenness on the issue of Tibet has had repercussions for his Hollywood career. The Chinese government, which exerts significant influence over the global film industry, has effectively blacklisted Gere, making it difficult for him to be cast in major studio films. Despite the financial and professional setbacks, Gere has never regretted his decision to speak out. Isn't that the definition of true courage? For him, the moral imperative to stand up against injustice far outweighs the personal cost. Hollywood is an industry driven by profit, and China's massive market is an essential factor for many studios. By openly criticizing the Chinese government, Gere knew he was risking his career, but he chose to stay true to his principles. How many of us would be willing to make that sacrifice? Gere's courage is a rare quality, especially in an industry where success is often measured by popularity and box office numbers. He has shown that integrity is far more valuable than fame. Gere's speech at the 1993 Academy Awards is one such example where he chose to prioritize advocacy over career concerns. During the live broadcast, Gere criticized the Chinese government for its occupation of Tibet, calling for greater international pressure to end the human rights abuses occurring there. This bold statement resulted in Gere being unofficially banned from future Oscar ceremonies, but it also solidified his reputation as a man of conviction, willing to risk his career for the principles he believes in. How many of us would be willing to do the same? The repercussions of his advocacy have not deterred him. Instead, Gere has continued to participate in independent films, choosing projects that reflect his values and that allow him to maintain his integrity. Films such as Time Out of Mind, which deals with homelessness, and Arbitrage, which explores moral ambiguity in the world of finance, indicate his preference for meaningful roles over box office success. These films have allowed him to continue his acting career while staying true to his beliefs and using his art as a means to address social issues. Isn't it amazing how he turns challenges into opportunities? Time Out of Mind, in particular, was a deeply personal project for Gere. The film follows the story of a man living on the streets of New York, struggling with homelessness and the sense of invisibility that comes with it. Gere immersed himself in the role, even spending time on the streets to understand the reality of homelessness firsthand. He stood in busy areas of New York, unnoticed by passers-by, experiencing the isolation and disregard faced by so many. Can you imagine what that must have been like? Through this role, Gere aimed to shed light on the plight of the homeless, to make the invisible visible, and to challenge audiences to see the humanity in every individual. His willingness to take on these roles, despite the industry's focus on commercial success, speaks volumes about his character. Gere has consistently chosen projects that have a message, that provoke thought, and that challenge societal norms. He believes that art should not only entertain but also educate and inspire change. By choosing roles that align with his values, Gere has used his talent to make a difference, both on screen and off-screen. Isn't it refreshing to see an actor who is not afraid to use his craft for a greater purpose? 5. Philanthropy and commitment to compassion. Beyond his political advocacy, Richard Gere is deeply involved in philanthropy, much of which is influenced by his Buddhist beliefs. In addition to his work with the International Campaign for Tibet, he established the Gere Foundation, which supports various humanitarian causes, including AIDS research, disaster relief, and education. His foundation has also provided significant support to Tibetan communities in exile, helping them preserve their cultural heritage and access better opportunities for education and healthcare. Isn't that a beautiful way to give back? The Gere Foundation reflects Gere's dedication to the principles of compassion and altruism. Inspired by the Buddhist concept of Bodhisattva, which refers to the compassionate intention to help all beings achieve freedom from suffering, Gere's philanthropic efforts focus on helping marginalized and oppressed communities. He believes in the interconnectedness of all beings and feels a deep sense of responsibility to alleviate suffering wherever possible. Can you feel the depth of his compassion? One of the key areas of focus for the Gere Foundation has been HIV/AIDS awareness and research. Gere became involved in this cause in the 1980s, during the height of the AIDS crisis, when misinformation and stigma were widespread. He worked to raise awareness about the disease, advocating for better healthcare and support for those affected. Gere was one of the first celebrities to speak openly about the need for compassion towards individuals living with HIV/AIDS, at a time when many were shunned by society. Isn't it incredible how he used his voice to bring attention to those who were being marginalized? Gere has also supported disaster relief efforts around the world. Whether it was providing aid after the devastating earthquake in Nepal in 2015 or supporting victims of natural disasters in the United States, Gere has consistently stepped up to help those in need. He believes that compassion should not be limited by geography, that we have a responsibility to help others, regardless of where they are. His foundation has provided funding for emergency relief, rebuilding efforts, and support for displaced communities. Isn't it heartening to see someone so committed to making the world a better place? Gere has also been vocal about the importance of meditation and mindfulness, not only for personal well-being but also as a tool for creating a more compassionate society. He has spoken at conferences and events about the transformative power of meditation, often highlighting scientific research that supports its benefits for mental health. Gere has shared his own journey with meditation, describing how it has helped him find inner peace and a deeper sense of purpose. By sharing his own experiences with meditation, Gere hopes to inspire others to embark on their own journey of self-discovery and inner peace. Isn't it wonderful how he shares his own journey to help others? In his talks, Gere often emphasizes that meditation is not about escaping the world but about engaging with it more fully. He believes that through meditation, we can cultivate a sense of empathy and compassion that extends beyond ourselves to those around us. Imagine if more people took the time to meditate, to reflect, to understand the interconnectedness of all life. What kind of world could we create? Gere's message is clear. True change begins within each of us, and through practices like meditation, we can contribute to a more compassionate and just society. 6. Richard Gere's impact on Tibetan freedom and global awareness. the influence of Richard Gere's activism extends far beyond his celebrity status. Through his tireless efforts, he has helped to bring global attention to the Tibetan cause, a struggle that might otherwise have been forgotten or ignored by mainstream media. Gere's work has galvanized support among political leaders, human rights organizations, and ordinary citizens who have been moved by the plight of the Tibetan people. Isn't it incredible how one person's dedication can ignite a movement? Gere has traveled extensively to speak on behalf of Tibet, attending international conferences, human rights forums, and meetings with world leaders. He has used every opportunity to advocate for the Tibetan people, highlighting their struggle for freedom and the need for international support. His speeches are often deeply emotional, as he speaks not only from a place of knowledge but also from a place of personal connection. Gere has seen firsthand the suffering of the Tibetan people, and his advocacy is driven by a genuine desire to see justice and freedom for those who have been oppressed for so long. By using his fame for advocacy, Gere has made a significant impact on the Tibetan community. His support has helped fund educational programs for Tibetan refugees, provided healthcare assistance, and ensured that Tibetan culture, language, and religion are preserved despite the challenges faced by those living in exile. His commitment to this cause has inspired countless others to join the movement, creating a broader network of support for Tibet. Can you imagine the hope he's given to so many people? One of the most significant contributions Gere has made is in the area of cultural preservation. Tibetan culture is rich in tradition, art, and spirituality, but it has been under threat due to Chinese policies aimed at erasing Tibetan identity. Gere has worked tirelessly to ensure that Tibetan culture is preserved for future generations. Through his foundation, he has supported initiatives that promote Tibetan language education, traditional arts, and religious practices. He has also worked to raise awareness about the importance of cultural preservation, encouraging others to recognize the value of Tibet's unique heritage. Isn't it amazing how culture can survive and thrive even in the face of adversity? Gere's advocacy also represents a broader message about the responsibilities of public figures. He has shown that celebrity can be used for more than personal gain, it can be a force for positive change. His work underscores the importance of using one's platform to speak out against injustice and to support those who have no voice. Gere's dedication to the Tibetan cause is a reminder that the fight for human rights is a universal struggle, one that transcends borders, politics, and personal ambition. Isn't that the kind of impact we all wish to make? In addition to his work for Tibet, Gere has also been a vocal advocate for other human rights issues. He has spoken out against the persecution of the Rohingya people in Myanmar, the treatment of refugees around the world, and the importance of addressing poverty and inequality. His advocacy is not limited to one cause, it is rooted in a deep belief in the dignity and worth of every human being. Gere's message is one of compassion, empathy, and the importance of standing up for what is right, even when it is difficult. Isn't it inspiring to see someone so committed to making the world a better place? 7. Conclusion: Richard Gere is far more than a Hollywood star. He is a passionate advocate for human rights, a devoted Buddhist, and a symbol of compassion in action. His dedication to the Tibetan cause, his close relationship with the Dalai Lama, and his unwavering commitment to principles of peace and justice have made him a powerful voice for those who are oppressed. Gere's willingness to sacrifice his own career opportunities in favor of standing up for what he believes is right speaks to the depth of his character and the authenticity of his beliefs. Isn't that truly remarkable? Through his activism, philanthropy, and spiritual journey, Richard Gere has made a lasting impact on the world. He has used his influence to shine a light on the plight of the Tibetan people, to promote the values of compassion and empathy, and to remind us all of our shared humanity. His story is an inspiration, showing that even in the face of great challenges, one can choose the path of integrity and use one's life to make a meaningful difference. Wouldn't it be amazing if we all strive to make such a difference in the world? Gere's life is a powerful reminder that true fulfillment does not come from wealth or fame but from living in alignment with one's values and making a positive impact on the lives of others. His journey from Hollywood star to humanitarian is a testament to the power of compassion, courage, and the pursuit of justice. As we reflect on his story, let us be inspired to look beyond ourselves, to recognize the struggles of others, and to take action, no matter how small, to make the world a better place. After all, isn't that what being human is truly about?